Hello there, my name is Jack Edwards and welcome to my YouTube channel. Apparently it's 2019 now, which for a lot of us means new year, same old you. And I know that a lot of people who watch this channel have exams at the end of this year just like I do, and so I wanted to talk about the little things that you can do right now in order to save yourself time later on in the year and achieve those top grades. Because there's actually a lot of really easy things you can do and they become invaluable when you come to that exam hall. Now for me, when I was doing my A-levels, I got to the end of first year and I didn't get the results that I was hoping for and the results that I knew I had the potential to achieve, and it was a real kick in the butt. And I went back to second year and had a different mentality altogether, and I did work harder, but it wasn't really until January of my A-level year that I really started to understand how to work harder and smarter and save myself time later on. That being said, there's also a lot of hindsight. So this was 2 years ago now that I did my A-levels, and there are a lot of things that I would do differently if I could go back, and so I wanted to make a video about the things you can do right now to change your grade. So number one is to organize your notes now. So make neat notes and file them. It is really worth taking 2 hours of your time once a fortnight maybe to just sit with your notes and file them. I'd really recommend having a big lever arch file per subject and then dividing it up using dividers per topic or module or anything like that. So sit down for this 2 hours every 2 weeks, pop on a film or some YouTube videos that you save to your watch later. Probably long ones is really useful because it means you don't have to get up and like keep finding other videos to watch. Like if you can queue them all into like a playlist or something, that's really useful. Just sit on your floor with all of your notes and put them into your files, and it becomes so useful when you know exactly where everything is. You save yourself so much time in the long run, and I feel like it just clears your head a little bit. It's a nice way of being productive, but also just watching a film or something. Number two is make your resources now while it's all fresh and while you're studying it on the go. So at the moment, each week you are having lessons, and this stuff will be most clear in your brain right now because you're studying it right now. And when you're in class, when you're reading your textbook, when you're doing homework or research or anything like that, that's where you'll come across loads of really interesting little facts which will become so useful to you to have in your arsenal of knowledge in the exam. So write them all down, make a big spreadsheet or a Word document or something which is just a fact bank. Just keep all of the facts that you have discovered in one place, and so then when you come to revising, you just have to go back to that document rather than having to go through all of the same articles and all of the same textbooks that you went through previously. You're basically condensing all of the research you are currently doing so that you don't have to do it in a couple of months' time. Likewise for other subjects, for example English, make quote banks. So as you're going through a book, write down all the important quotes and analyze them on the go, and basically doing work in little chunks means that you don't have to do a huge bulk when it comes to like April, May, June. Number three is to make summary cards as you go. So when you finish a topic, when you finish a module, when you finish a lesson even, just write down all of the key information onto an index card. Basically with a lot of the things I'm saying here is you're making your revision now, but you don't even realize it. The main thing I realized when I came to do revision is that I wasn't actually revising anything, I was teaching myself or relearning it. And that is something you can really easily avoid by just making your revision as you go along, so you just refer back to that and it will spring back all of those ideas that you had in that moment in time where you were studying that thing so in detail. Number four is the worst one, and it's just keeping on top of your deadlines. I know that it sucks and I know that it's not always as easy as saying that, but keeping on top of your deadlines is so helpful. Just what I started to do near the end of sixth form is just do my essays the day they were set, and honestly it changed the way that I learned and it changed the way that I managed my time. The whole way through my education up to that point, I'd always been the person still writing their essay the morning it was due and all of that stuff, and to be honest, now I'm doing my degree, I'm back to that stage, and one of my goals for 2019 is to change that. But honestly, it does change the way that you organize your time and it changes your mentality. You just feel so much less stressed when you feel on top of things, and feeling productive makes me in turn more productive. So it's kind of a snowball effect. So some ways to do this are, firstly, there's an app called the Homework app, which is really good for just putting all your deadlines in. It gives you like little pop-up reminders on your phone. And the second way is to have a really good student planner. So an academic organizer is really useful. Mine is from Palgrave, which I think you can buy at Waterstones. Just writing everything down, keeping it in your diary and actually checking it can change the way that you organize your time. It's time for change. Am I right, ladies? Everyone just clicked off this video. Now the next thing you can do to boost your grades later on is not necessarily an obvious one, and this is actually a financial thing. So a lot of you will have part-time jobs. I had a part-time job. I worked at Topman when I was in sixth form. Earn that money now, so work that overtime. Do those extra shifts, you know. Get money in the bank so you know you can have a really nice summer and that you have money to rely on. But I would really recommend not working over the exam period. Earn that money now so that you can quit your job later on. I mean, I know this doesn't work for everyone, but for me, I could not balance my part-time job with my revision. So I worked loads over Christmas and around this time of year, so January, February, March, quit my job at the end of March, and then I had the rest of the time to just focus solely on revision. And for me, just having my weekends back just felt like I had so much more time. After you're used to working loads of hours for a part-time job, if you then think in terms of, right, okay, now I'm closer to the exams, instead of doing that part-time job, I'm going to put those same hours into revision, you get so much done. So yeah, I think maybe a financial tip isn't as obvious for this, but I think it really is worth doing all of the part-time work now so that you can quit later on, or at least cut down your hours. The next tip is to utilize your free periods. Now, I had so many free periods at sixth form that I almost didn't know what to do with them, and I spent pretty much all of my first year just messing about or being in the canteen or with my friends and doing pretty much nothing. In my second year, I changed that and I timetabled in what I was going to do in my free periods, and that just meant I was so much more productive. I had a purpose in those free periods and I had guided revision that I knew that I needed to do. I remember I used to have a period on a Thursday afternoon where I would catch up on work, so I'd put I had a 2-hour free, so I'd block off that 2-hour free for just catching up on any work that I hadn't finished in class or any homework that I hadn't quite finished yet, and I would get it all sorted in those 2 hours. The next tip is to be an active researcher, and if you're thinking of going to university, then this is so important. Take interest in your subjects. When you find something that you don't understand, research it. Find out now, because you're only going to have those questions when you sit in that exam hall. If you're preparing for a class, or you've got homework or an essay that you have to write, and you come across a concept or something that you don't understand, research it now. Because right now you have access to the internet, you have access to your teachers, you have access to the textbooks. In the exam, you don't have access to any of that. And if you come across this thing in the exam and you can't explain it, sorry mate, you're kind of screwed. And that is a brutal way of saying it, but you know, you can research it now, so do. Now the next thing you should definitely start doing if you want to achieve the higher grades, and I know this is daunting, but it's to start contributing in class. Verbalizing your ideas is the best way of challenging yourself, because you have to explain why you're suggesting that and also backing up your own argument. And this is something that you can often forget to do in an exam, is to actually explain why you think that or justify yourself. And I think when you do it in front of people so clearly like that, you almost have to. But also other people will bounce off your ideas and probably give you new ideas, and other people will suggest things that perhaps you don't agree with, and then you have to justify why. And I know how easy it is to just sit in that classroom and think, I don't want to be here, I'm not feeling up to it today, I'm just tuning out and thinking of everything else in the world but this. But honestly, those hours are so much more valuable than you even realize right now. Like, every single lesson counts. And leading on from that, my final tip is to revise for your in-class tests. Now, this is one of those things that I would go back and change if I could see myself doing my A-levels, because I did not take those in-class tests seriously, and it honestly could change the game for me earlier on. I remember in my biology class, we used to have a test every Friday, and this one guy would always make flashcards and revision cards, and he'd properly study for the tests. And I'd always look at him and think, like, what? Why are you taking it so seriously? But he came out with full marks in biology, right? And I certainly did not. He put in the effort early on and was consistent throughout the year and hardly had to revise right at the end of it. He also had all of his revision notes sorted. He was completely covered, and honestly, I applaud that guy, like, he smashed it. So what I wanted to say with this video is to never underestimate the power of a fresh start. Be the best version of yourself that you can be this year, and make these tiny little changes to the way that you do things and to your routine, and honestly, you'll come out so much better in the end. And so those are my little tips for boosting your grades now. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it was useful. If it was, give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. I make loads of videos. Also, just before 2018 ended, we hit 90,000 subscribers, which is mental. So thank you so much for that. I cannot believe that the next milestone is 100K. I don't know if we'll ever hit that, but it would be insane. So if you want to join the club, click subscribe down below, I'd appreciate it. But for now, I've been Jack Edwards. Hopefully I still will be Jack Edwards next time you watch the channel, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye bye.